Blockstomper here, and today I'll be building my new PC named Stomperbox 2, which will be replacing my PC named Stomperbox. So I'm guessing some of you may be wondering why I'm replacing my current build instead of simply upgrading it. Firstly, I've had Stomperbox for over 5 years now, and it's starting to show even though I've upgraded the graphics card, RAM, CPU cooler, and even added an extra hard drive. The full part list can be seen on screen now. My main aim for Stomperbox 2 is for it to be usable for another 5 years with some slight upgrades, such as the graphics card and storage. I'll use this PC for many things like development, streaming, video production, learning Linux, learning networking, and so on. Another aim is also to have a very quiet system. Alright, let's get into it. Starting off with the motherboard, I have the ASUS Republic of Gamers Maximus 8 Hero. This board just looks fantastic and has many great features. The CPU is the i7-6700K, which will make a tremendous impact in my development compared to Stomperbox 1. Corsair Vengeance LPX 16GB 2400MHz RAM, which comes in handy when you're messing around with the virtual machines. And the reason I got 2400MHz is because for what I do, faster memory doesn't make too much of a difference. For the graphics card, I have the ASUS Strix GTX 970, which will handle my gaming needs perfectly fine. It has a very quiet cooler and is also a solid overclocker if I want to overclock in the future. For my CPU cooler, I'm using the NZXT Kraken X61 with its quiet dual 140mm fans, which will keep my CPU nice and cool. For my storage needs, I'm using a Crucial BX100 500GB SSD, which will be used for Windows, games, and applications. All my data like documents, music, and project will be stored on a 2TB Western Digital Blue. I've also chosen the Corsair RM750i for my power supply, as just like the graphics card, the fan will not turn on unless under heavy load. I have plenty of headroom for the future if I overclock my CPU, and also enough power to get another GTX 970 and run SLI if I need to. I'm also using my LiveGamer HD capture card from Ava Media from my old PC. And all this hardware is all going into the amazing NZXT H440 Red and Black Edition with its fabulous looks and its awesome sound dampening design. Time to build, I hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys enjoyed that time lapse, and now I'm going to talk about how the building process was for me. The CPU and RAM installation was very easy. Secondly, it took me a long time to install the motherboard because I couldn't get the I/O shield in, and I had to push very hard on the motherboard for it to line up with the standoffs. It felt like the board was going to break. Installing the SSD was a pain. After installing it and uninstalling it to plug the SATA cable in, I realized I needed to plug in the power. However, the power connector was at right angle and there was not enough clearance for it, so I ended up installing the SSD in the hard drive mounts. Speaking of hard drives, I was going to remove the hard drive from my old PC and install it to transfer my data, but that hard drive was stuck and wasn't able to be removed from the hard drive cage. I found plugging in the 24-pin cable was difficult, as Corsair used a 20+4 pin design, and they would easily be separated, making it very frustrating to plug it in. This is the same for the graphics card, where the power cable was a 6+2 pin instead of a single 8 pin. Plugging into the headers was also difficult for me, as they were very fragile and easily bent, so I was being very careful and taking a long time. You may also have saw a few mistakes with the X61 Kraken. After installing it, I thought to myself, I forgot to add the mounting bracket, so I took it off, looked at the bracket in the box, and saw that it was the AMD bracket. The Intel one was already installed. I mounted the fans on the top of the case for a pull configuration, making it easy to clean the radiator and being an exhaust. However, the top panel didn't fit. I then realized that this model of the case is different to past models, so I had to remount the fans and radiator. I also did some cable management in order to fit the side panel on, and while I was at it, I removed the rear fan from the NZXT fan hub and plugged it directly into the motherboard. I found the whole build process not that difficult at all, just annoying at sometimes. Thank you for watching guys, and I'll release a new video in the next few days, showcasing my new and improved setup, with plans on improving it even more, the benchmarks I ran and the results I got compared to the original Stomper box, and lastly how loud this system really is. That's it for me. If you liked the video, please press that like button down below, and while you're at it, why not hit that subscribe button and even leave a comment.